and welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I must first, I suppose, give a bit of a confession. I am feeling a bit squiffy at the time of recording this video. I've been out to lunch, and yes, alcohol was consumed, so goodness only knows what that is, and well, that's going to do, well, firstly to my Sudoku solving, probably nothing good, and secondly my ability to jibber jabber, probably also nothing good. We shall see. What am I faced with on this day of days? Well, I'm faced with a puzzle called Caduceus by Piotr V. Now, Piotr V is the pseudonym of Peter Venus, a very, very fine setter indeed. And I think Peter's probably appeared on the channel, I want to say about 15 times, always with beautiful puzzles. Now, I'm told this puzzle has a 100% rating on Logic Masters Germany, and only 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty, which is very generous of Peter, given that every single puzzle the testers seem to send my way at the moment, which has their blessing to be attempted in a video, they all seem to have 5 stars out of 5 for difficulty on Logic Masters Germany and carry a warning that the video could be at least 2 hours long. So Peter, thank you very much for being kind to me. Now, this also has a very long rule set though. I skim read this before I turned on the webcam, and it's about snakes, which makes sense with it being called Caduceus. Because of course the caduceus is that medical symbol, I think, where the snakes sort of twist around a stick, a staff. No, a staff. That's a much more pleasant word for what's going on than stick. And yeah, there's all sorts of snakeage going on in this puzzle, and opportunities for double entendres are replete. And we'll get onto those in just a moment. Firstly, I've got a stack load of birthday announcements today. I do not know what's going on, but it appears that the 5th of June is basically the day on which most Cracking the Cryptic viewers were born. So, firstly, Christian, you've turned 18 today, I think, and your school friend Marnix got in touch with us to suggest you might appreciate a shout out. So, happy birthday, my friend. Joanna, your husband Luis has been in touch, and I think you use my dulcet tones to fall asleep at night, which was never the intention of these videos, but it does seem to be that I am incredibly soporific. Well done me, I think. Anyway, happy birthday. Now, Nick Daughter, your wife Amber has been in touch and said that it's your birthday, and you also enjoy apparently getting your 4- and 8-year-old children to watch Cracking the Cryptic, which I heartily approve of. So happy birthday to you. And then Simon, you have a great name. And your partner Rebecca has been in touch to say that you might appreciate a shout out, so happy birthday there as well. I hope all of you have a tremendous amount of cake. Now, next I need to tell you about some successful solvers of the Doctoral Sudoku pack, which we released on Patreon on the 1st of June. I mean, basically the next 3 names have finished more than 35 puzzles in that doctoral pack to successfully complete it. So well done to Matthew Brockwell, to Jeff Frank, and to Wesley Leong. That is some stellar solving. And I think we've had well over 1,000 correct entries to the standard pack now, which is amazing as well, because even those puzzles, well, they're not simple, they're not straightforward. So it is tremendous. Well, it's tremendously gratifying that so many of our patrons are clearly very smart people. So well done to all of you. And as a reward, if you are a patron of the channel, we have something very special, which we are releasing today, because today is the last day celebrating the Queen's Jubilee. I'm sure if you are a Brit, you will know exactly of what I speak. Queen Elizabeth has been on the throne for 70 years, which is a quite remarkable thing, the longest reigning monarch in our history. And Mark has made a Sudoku to celebrate this, and it's available on Patreon right now. Do have a go at it. And what's more, Mark recorded himself making this Sudoku, and we're going to release that video on Patreon in 2 or 3 days' time. So there's a couple of things then. We've got a new puzzle to try. I'm told that the Jubilee Sudoku is not a simple beast, so just be aware of that. And then Mark's video on how he made that, so if you're into constructing, you may enjoy that, and that's going to come out in 2 or 3 days' time. That reminds me as well, we've also released a video today, a bonus video on the channel, of Mark solving Jason Zufranieri's 21 Wordle challenge. That is a very entertaining video, and if you have any love of Wordle, you can play those puzzles as well. It's very cool, a very interesting idea, and I heartily commend that to you. And then the last thing I wanted to say is a thank you, actually. I want to say a thank you to Linus Nordmark. Now, Linus, you wrote us an email today, which I found very touching, actually, and thank you for doing that. It is incredibly, it's humbling and gratifying for us to know that the channel makes a difference in any way like that, and so we really appreciated your email, so thank you. Now, I must switch on my brain now and read you the rules, the long rules of the puzzle Caduceus with which I'm about to do battle. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Hooray! Furthermore, there are two snakes, snake A and B, in the grid. One is an equal sum line snake, brackets see below, close brackets, and the other is a German whisper line snake, again see below. The solver must determine which is which. Each snake is an orthogonally connected set of cells. The starts and ends are marked, and they must visit each 3x3 box. Now, when I skim-read the instructions before, I was absolutely convinced that this was impossible because of the next rule, which says that the snakes cannot touch themselves, even diagonally. The snakes may touch each other, though, and they do not cross each other. So I think that gets us out of trouble. So basically what we've got to do is draw massive snakes in the grid, because the snake, this is the head and tail of the A snake, and somehow we've got to draw a snake in here that touches every box and doesn't touch itself even diagonally. So that would be, I think, a legitimate way of drawing the A snake. But you can see how tricky this is going to get immediately, because now I've got to draw the B snake in such a way it doesn't cross the A snake, but it does visit every box, and that, so I've already broken this. That would be impossible if this blue snake was correct. And that, but let's imagine I could draw a B snake like this. This snake is total nonsense because it's, I'm just making up. I don't even know how to draw an example. Well, let's just draw a B snake that crosses itself, then crosses the other snake. So this is clearly completely wrong, and it's finishing in the wrong place. Ah. This is the most absolutely inept effort of anything anybody has ever done, ever. Well done, Simon. But let's imagine these were the snakes for a moment. Then we would be saying one of these snakes was an equal sum line snake. Let's imagine it was the purple snake. So if the purple snake was an equal sum line snake, what that is saying is that we look in a box. So let's look at box 5 here. We see that the snake is visiting these cells in box 5. We sum these digits up, and whatever that sum is, that must be the sum of the purple digits in this box. So those 4 cells would add to the same as these 5 cells. Those 4 cells would add to the same as those 3 cells, which would add to the same as those 3 cells, etc., etc. Now the other line would be a German whisper line, and that means that it's, well, it means lots of things that are almost to do with solving, so I don't know whether to explain, but basically whatever this was, this digit would then be 5 away from that digit, and then this digit would be 5 away from this digit, etc., all around the grid. So there is quite some restrictions on the snakeage that's going on. Now, there's more though. The outside clues, must be these numbers, give the sum of the non-snake cells in that direction. Okay, so this, what I've drawn in here is absolutely, it's even worse nonsense than I thought it was. Let's just totally restart. So I think what that's saying, I mean, it's very interesting in this column, for example. It's saying that the sum of the digits that are not on the snakes in column 1 is 45. Now, if you know the secret, that's going to be very interesting to you. Now, the squares, so these are the squares in the grid, I presume, give the number of the non-snake cells in that box. So if this was number of non-snake cells, so that, well, One thing we can immediately observe, therefore, is that it's impossible for a square to contain less than a 7. Sorry, more than a 7. Because if it had an 8 in it, it would be saying there would be 8 non-snake cells in this box. And that would mean snakes could only visit one cell, and that's not going to work because we need to get 2 snakes to touch box 6. So that seems to be quite heavily constrained as well. And that's all the rules, I think. That's all the rules. So then, I can't even remember now if I've read this out. An equal sum line digits have an equal sum n within each box the line passes through, and on a German whisper line, adjacent digits must have a difference of at least 5. Well, if I didn't read it out, I did explain it. So I think that's the rules. Quite complicated, but hugely interesting. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking, and we shall start with column 1, because the secret is employed, presumably. The secret is that any complete column of a Sudoku, indeed any complete row or any complete box, contains the digits 1 to 9 once each. The digits 1 to 9 add up to, you've guessed it, the secret, 45. So this column, I think, is bereft of snake pieces. That is the way the rules work, isn't it? Outside clues give the sum of the non-snake, yes, non-snake cells. So this whole column is anti-snake, and this whole row, the bottom row, is anti-snake. There cannot be any snake bits in this big L that we've just drawn. And that means that, well, that's hugely interesting immediately for box 7, isn't it? Because now we've got the problem in box 7. We can't put heads or tails of snakes in box 7. So this is fascinating. So that means that in box 7, how do you get 2 snakes to visit this region, given that those snakes have to get out again? Because they can't stop in here, because we know that these are the heads and tails of the snakes. Well, they've got to, one of them's got to do this. Actually, let me switch to line tool. One of them's got to do that, and one of them's got to do, one of them's got to do that. And they can't, that's all it can be. Oh, that's actually beautiful. That is already beautiful. B for beautiful. Because B is not this snake. Actually, I'm going to colour these in. I think that's going to make more sense. What colours shall I make? One snake is doing this, one snake is doing that. That's the simple point. But we can go beyond that and ask whether B, the B snake, is now purple. Well, if it was purple, it's clearly touching itself. Naughty snake, because it's going boom, 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 boom. And it's connected here, where it shouldn't be. Naughty snake. So it mustn't do that. And that tells us basically that B must be this snake, which means A must be purple, B must be blue. Blue needs to get to one of these nodes, so it's got to continue like this. Purple needs to continue like that. This is going. I'm almost going to complete the snakes here, I think. Blue must continue again. I've got 9 blue cells immediately. Ooh, have I broken this actually? Oh, I might have already broken the puzzle here. I'm so sorry if I have. Whoa, hang on. I've got to get blue to visit every box without chopping off its A's ability to join. Oh, I see. No, you can do this. You can do it. This is very interesting immediately. How do we do this? I have a feeling that the rain men out there might just be able to draw this in now, the whole pattern. because there's something twisty going on with these snakes. To connect B, this B to this B, is quite interesting, isn't it? Because we can't connect them in any way like that, because then this is stranded. So this B has to connect to this end, which means it's sort of got to loop round the A. But at the same time as doing that, the B has to visit every single box, which means we'd have to do something like that. And then A would... no, that doesn't work because A hasn't visited box 9. This is very constrained. This is very, very constrained. This has to join to this. So something like that. Maybe it comes across here. Maybe something like that is better. That joins to that. Yeah, see, that might work. Something like that is broadly, I think, the answer. It's not probably the answer, but it's close to being. It's of this structure. The snakes are interacting in this way, I think. And they are twisting together Caduceus style, which makes me think that that is probably what we're meant to be spotting. So, right, my alcohol-sozzled brain is now not telling me what this means. Brain, I blame you for so many things. What am I meant to do now? I don't even know. I've sort of lost track of the rules as well. I've got, oh, one of these lines is equal sum lines. One of them is German whispers. Can we tell which is which? We can. I don't think I can I? What do the clues outside the grid mean? They mean how many none thingy thing clues there are. Ooh, how many non-snake cells there are. So there's got to be more greenage in column 2. I've only got one green cell at the moment. 23 is at least 3 cells large. So either all 3 of these are green, or 2 of these are green, and one of them isn't. I want to say that that means this must be green. I think if A comes in there, A would have to do that, and there wouldn't be enough green cells. And blue can't come in here because that would be a head or tail of blue, and that won't work. So that's definitely green, I think. And now this can't be snake, because if this is snake, you have to take those 3, because this is not the head or tail of the snake. So that would prevent us from having 3 greens in the column. So that is green. Now, if this was green, blue would come in here and then go up. I don't know actually. If this is not green, it can't be purple because I could never get purple out. So it would have to be blue. So blue would do that. Okay, not sure. What were the squares? The squares were the number of non-snake cells in the box. Right. Oh, no, I thought I was going to be able to write this one in. Because basically right, so what the squares are is the count of the greens in the box. So that's a 3 or a 4. He says and then writes in 4 or 5. That's just a misclick. That's a digit. That's a 5. Because it's just the count of that. This is 3 or 4, depending on what the colour of this is. This one is at least 3. That's probably not worth pencil marking. Actually, we have to know a lot more about those 5 white cells before we can, I think, satisfactorily pencil mark that cell. That one as well looks to be a little bit silly. This one is definitely seeing 5 greens, So this is at least a 5. And it could be... Oh, we have to get blue into this box, don't we? Blue must visit this box because blue has to visit every box. So the maximum... So if blue goes there, the maximum number of cells that can be green in the box is 7. So that is 5, 6 or 7. Oh, hang on. I've got 5 in this column and I've got 5 in green. So that so the rest of this column is snake. So does that affect... That does affect this. This can't be 7. This has got to be no more than 6 now, because we don't know what colour these 3 digits are, but we know that they are all snake. Right, that is not purple. And that is because if that's purple, this snake is being filthy and touching itself. Because how does this snake go? How does this travel? Well, its next cell is either here or here, which will connect it to the head or tail of the A snake. Now, so if it's this one, then this is touching the snake, because the snake's doing this, and the snake is touching itself orthogonally. If it's that, this is touching itself at a point, so it's touching itself diagonally, not allowed. So this cell must, I think, be blue. And that... No, okay, I was about to say that means we know what this is, but we don't at all. That could be blue or purple. Yeah, we need to know really more about this 23 clue, I fear, in order to understand the nature of the world. So, okay, let's have a think about this. So we therefore know that we've nearly got the construction of column 2. We've got a 4 clue here. Now that's telling us that there are... Right. So that cell is either a 1, 3 or it's a 4. Because this is the count of none of green cells in this row. But 4 can never be more than 2 cells, because it could be a 1 and a 3, or a 4 on its own. It can't be anything else. So that's a 1, 3 or a 4. So if this was a 4, this would be a 3. Oh, okay, that's fine, isn't it? These are sort of related to different things. If this is a 4, it's saying this row is entirely snake. And this being a 3 is telling us this cell is snake. So that this being snake and these being snakes are sort of unrelated topics. Oh, had a thought then about whether that could be on the whisper. That is almost impossible. If this was a 4, it couldn't be on a whisper line, because it would have to be double 9 surrounding it, because I've talked about this a lot in videos recently, but basically whisper lines, they alternate. So they have this polarity thing. You can never put a 5 on a whisper line, because if you do, the next digit along the whisper line has to be 5 different from 5, so it's either going to be 0 or lower, or 10 or higher. And once you can't put 5 on it, you'll find that you can basically think of the digit on a whisper line as either a low digit, a 1, 2, 3 or 4, or a high digit, a 6, 7, 8 or 9. But what happens to a low digit when you look to the next cell on the whisper line? Well, it flips and becomes a high digit, because it's got to be 5 different from these numbers. And 5 different from even the lowest number, 5 different from 1 is still 6. It's still on the high side of 5. So this cell would have to be a 6, 7, 8, 9. This would then have to be low again, etc., etc. So let's think about, though, this in the context of it being a 4. And if the blue line was a whisper line, these would both be 9, and that would break the puzzle. So, but if this is 3, this could be an 8, 9 pair, and that wouldn't break the puzzle. I was just wondering if I have a sense for which of the lines. I have a sense that maybe it's slightly more likely the blue line is the equal sum line. Just because of this cell. That's the only cell that's purple that's in box 7. So if the purple line is an equal sum lines line, then we can't have too big a total for the whatever n is in the equal sum. It can't be bigger than 9. And that's going to mean that the purple line could never visit more than 3 cells in a box, which is quite interesting because the triangular number for 4 is 10. Right, so have I learned enough about the puzzle now to understand it? I now need to say, I don't know, I'm not sure actually. I'm still troubled by the fact that I've got to get my snakes to visit every single box of this puzzle, both snakes. So that means that I've got to get, so purple has got to snip off some cells here, doesn't it? Because this blue must connect to this blue, I think. Yes, there's simply no way that this connects to here, because that will isolate this. So this connects to here, probably directly, but not certain about that. And that's going to leave 3 cells of room for purple to potentially occupy white cells in box 9. Right, but, well, okay, so this is not blue, is I think the point of that. Because if that was blue, how do I now get purple into box 9 at all? Because of this rule about snakes not touching themselves, the only way to turn a snake of this nature is in a sort of U pentomino type pattern. Because you can't come in, move one over and then go out again, or the snake will touch itself and be filthy and naughty, and it's not allowed to do that. So as the snake dips down, it has to make a sort of wide turn. And if there was a wide purple turn like that, that's great, except this snake can never get to there. That doesn't work. So we now know that this blue snake continues into there. And that logic must work again, doesn't it? If this turns up now, we can never get purple in and out of the box. So so blue does efficiently close here. And now purple has to take at least one, well, I was about to say at least one of these 3 cells, but in fact it's a bit more restricted than that. Purple can't just take that cell, because that would be then the head or the tail of the purple snake, which we know is over there. So if we did work out this was purple, we would know purple would take all 3 of those cells. So this digit now, which is the count of the green cells in this box, is now 3. One of these must be purple. At least it's not this. This could be purple. Right, okay, I see. So that we could just have 1 purple. The only way of just having 1 purple in box 9 is if it's this cell and it does something like that. And that would mean there's room for 2 more greens. So it's 3, 4 or 5 into this cell, which is almost beautiful. Or does that mean that... Oh, that's quite interesting. So now I'm changing my mind. Blue might now be... Oh, no. No. Now we know. I've changed my mind back again. I was about to say, thinking about the polarity switching, that this could be the German whispers line, because these could both be on the low side of 5. And that's true, and they would alternate very nicely, so it looks great. Except, if blue is a German whispers line now, German whispers line cannot have 5 on it, so this would be a 3-4 pair. One of these would then be a 4, and that would have to be flanked by double 9 in the row, and that's impossible from a Sudoku perspective. So this is wrong. Well, it's not wrong. It means that this, the blue line, is the equal sum line. Equal sum line. That's too many lines there, but you know what I mean. So the blue line is equal sum lines, which means that the purple line is whispers. Oh, look at this. Right, this is beautiful. Right, now in this row I've got a 7 here by this clue. And that must mean I know what the value of this is, or at least I can narrow it down, because 38. Right, this square I think is 1 or 4 only. Let me explain. We can use the secret on this row to know the value of these 8 cells, because the secret is that the row sums to 45, therefore the blue cells in row 8 sum to 45 minus 7, which is 38. But think about the maths of these 3 cells, these 3 cells, and these 3 cells. We know that this, whatever the sum is of that, let's call it x, that's x. Then we know that that sum is x as well. And then we know this sum is x as well, because it's an equal sum line. In other words, the sum of those 9 digits is 3x. 3x is divisible by 3. But if we know these add up to 38, I've got to add on either a 1, 4 or a 7 here to get this total divisible by 3. I can't put 7 there, so that's 1 or 4. And we now know approximately what the value of n is, don't we? Because we now know that the sum of these digits is either 39 or 42, which means 39 divided by 3 is 13, and 42 divided by 3 is 14. So not only, this 14 looks quite prescient, doesn't it? That is not saying that the equal sum is 14. It's saying 1 or 4 in this cell. But the equal sum total is 13 or 14. And now I want to say, how can that possibly be blue? I think it can be, but only just. Only just. That was almost an absolutely wonderfully alcohol-induced thought. So what I saw there, right, is that I saw these were low digits, and I thought, well, if this is a blue digit, then my equal sum total for this box, I know those 4 cells are adding to 13 or 14, and there seem to me to be too many low digits in this box, in this sort of J, I don't know what we call that, a hexomino. But I think it's still okay. It would mean if this was blue, these could not add up to 13 anymore, because the triangular number for 6, i.e. what is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6, that's 21. And there would be no way, if these 4 cells added to 13, to add enough in those 2 digits to get to 21. The maximum these would be 3 and 4, which is 7. 7 and 13 is 20. That's not enough. But the annoying thing is that 21 is absolutely enough. So if blue was 14, then this would have to be a 3-4 pair. This would have to be 1, 2, 5 and 6. And that would seem to work. Although I think 2, 5, 6. Right. Okay. I think I can now prove that this cell is not blue. Wow. Okay. So let's continue our train of thought. I'm thinking about what happens if this tetromino adds up to 14. Well, then we know our equal sum line total is 14, so I've got to make these 3 cells add to 14, these 3 cells add up to 14, etc, etc. But how does that work in box 1? Because I've clearly got to go, I can't come to this cell because that's going to make my snake touch itself again. So I've got to take this cell as my final blue cell within this box. And therefore these 2 cells have to add to 14 without being 5, 9. So they've got to be 6, 8. And that doesn't work because if these are 6, 8, that's a 5. And that's a 5 means that green cells are 5 in this box, which means this cell needs to be a snake, and it can't be a snake anymore because it's had its chance to be blue and it lost that, and it definitely can't be purple, or this would be sort of a baby snake, and that doesn't work either. So this is a very, very long-winded and complicated way of telling you that I think this square is, well, it's not even, well, it's a little bit interesting. It's not blue is what I've proved. And therefore, how does the blue snake continue? It must go here. And the problem with this is that this totally negates all my knowledge about, you know, the blue total having to be 14, because once this comes up here, all the pressure, I've relieved all the pressure because of these 2 digits in box 4. So that's actually almost a bit counterproductive, I want to say. Bobbins. Oh, but yeah, okay, but look, this column still needs to have lots more snake in it. Everything in this column is snake. So if that's not blue, it's purple. So that finishes. That shows how the purple snake finishes. And this cell needs to be, oh, so now, right, now this is a 5 in the corner. Not a 3, but a 5, because now, because we know this is snake, our count of green in box 1 is 5. So now 5 by Sudoku is in one of those 3 cells. And we know these either add up to 13 or 14. So if these add up to... Oh, hang on. I've just noticed that's a 3. Oh, my brain is going all over the place. This is a 3. It's counting the green cells. So this square is only 1 or 4 now. Ah, that doesn't actually help, does it? This could still be part of a 2-cell green sequence in the row. Anyway, sorry, I was getting distracted. This has a 5 in it, this string, and we know this string either adds up to 13 or 14. So, if it adds up to 13, these have to add, the other 2 cells have to add to 8. Oh. There seem to be 2 ways that could happen. 1, 7 or 2, 6. Okay, that's not very useful. What about if this added up to 14? If this adds up to 14, the other 2 cells add up to 9, and they couldn't be 4, 5 or 3, 6, so they'd have to be 2, 7 or 1, 8. Which rather annoyingly is also, I think, possible. Okay. Oh! Ah, right, okay, but hang on, look. Let's come back to the column 2 clue, which is 23 now. Because those 3 cells sum to 23, and they've got to be 6, 8, 9. So that's actually... Well, that must... I can't remember what I said the options were for this triple now, but that's got to have affected those if I can't use 6, 8 or 9 in this triple. So let's just do that again. If we've got 5 in here, and we are heading towards 13, we need 8 more, which has to now be 1, 7, because it can't be 2, 6 or 3, 5. So this is either 5, 1, 7, or if this is 8 on the other, if this is 14 on the other hand, these are adding up to, the other 2 cells are adding up to 9, and they're not 4, 5, they're not 3, 6, oh, they're not 1, 8, so they're 2, 7. Oh, so there's always a 7. There's always a 7 in this string. It's either 157 or it's 257, which is almost good, but not quite good enough. Okay, so what am I missing here then? Have we got, is there a way we can know something about our whisper line? Sorry, I'm not spotting. I'm not sure where to look now. I have a feeling that there is a way to do this puzzle that's sort of hyper meta, and you can just almost draw all the snakes in at the very start. And I fear that might be what I'm missing. So, okay. I don't know where to look. It must be that we look at... Have I used all of these square clues now? I have... Well, I don't see how we can say anything about these. Not even this one. These two we know a little bit about. We know that... these are counting the green square, so this is why this is 3 or 4. So if this is 3, that's telling us purple comes here. If this is 4, it's telling us that there's a green here, purple must shift up, and that would be very powerful, look, because then blue would have to do that. That would force purple to do this. But then purple has to get into box, in and out of box 9, so it would have to do this. So if this is 4, this is 3, I think. But if this is 3, I think all bets are off because the purple just continues on. Okay, again, I've got a horrible feeling I'm meant to appreciate something there, but I'm not seeing it again. What do we need to do then? Is it Sudoku? Surely not. Sudoku, we've done that. We've done what we can with 5s. There's got to be a 6, 8, 9 triple here. We've got to put 3 in this column. 3 here would be very forcing on this. This would be 4. And this would be 5. Oh, no, right. Okay, that's something. That is something. This is not 3. This is not 3, because if that's 4 and that's 5, how on earth does this work? 4 is telling us this cell's green. 5 is telling us, like, I've got one... I've got to put 2 more greens in here, but I've got to get purple in and out of this box. That's not going to happen. I need, if this has to turn up, this needs to all be purple with a U pentomino, and therefore this cell would need to be a 3, which it cannot be given the 3 here. So that's telling us that 3 in this column is now known to be here. Ah, I see. Well, I see one thing that results from that, which is now don't I know the colour of this cell? Because I know that my n total is 13 or 14, so this I can't put 10 into this cell, so I must take another blue cell in this box, which means this must be blue, these 2 must be purple to get out, actually more, because this cell now is green, because it can't be blue, because blue would touch itself, and it can't be purple, because purple, this wouldn't be an end, it wouldn't be a head or a tail, because we'd be doing this. So that's green, blue must come out, purple must come out, so this needs to connect here, doesn't it? Oh, but it has to connect here, having come into this box and this box, so it's got to be something like that. Yeah, it probably is something like that, and then purple going all the way around the edge. So these two cells now are either adding up to 10 or 11, depending on what the value of n is in our blue regions. Oh yeah, got it. I've got it. Right. I think I've got it. Where does 3 go in box 7? The answer is in one of these two cells, but surely it can't go here for exactly the same reason it couldn't go there. It's the same problem. That would be a 4 and a 5, and we break this box. So the 3 goes in purple, and that tells us the whisper parity. Or polarity. I know I meant to use polarity. Hopefully you'll forgive me. But this now is telling us this is a low digit on the whisper. So these other digits are all low digits on the whisper. These have all got to be high digits on the whisper. These can't be 7 because they can't. This can't be 6 because it's not 5 different from 3. In fact, that's the same for that cell, isn't it? Look, there's going to be loads we can do from this. We know this is not 3. We know this is not 3 by Sudoku. We know this is not 3 by Sudoku. We know that this is not 4 because it would have to be flanked by double 9. So this is now 1 or 2. Now I've got 1, 2, 5, 7 quadruple in box 4, which means that square is a 4, which means the whole of this row is filled with, not jibber jabber, with snake. No, the video is the thing I fill with jibber jabber. So this is a 6, 8 or a 9, rather annoyingly. I think it can be all 3 of those. This, right, what does that mean? So 4 is up here now, one of these cells, and 4 is in one of those two cells. Right, but let's take that further, because surely the nature, given that we know this whisper line connects at some point to this whisper line, we know we can do the polarity of all of these cells, because it's a bishop's move relationship, isn't it? To connect this low digit to here, I'm always going to have to go high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. So I think that has to be a high digit. And therefore that must be a high digit. So these are 6, 7s, 8s and 9s. These are 1s, 2s, 3s and 4s. Can't put 4 in the middle of a whisper line. Can't put 6 in the middle of a whisper line because it'll have to be flanked by double 1. This could... No, that cannot be a 6 because there would be a 1 here and a 1 either here or here, and they would see each other. So this is 7, 8 or 9. This is not 3. It sees that one. So what does this do? Probably a lot, I think. I think this feels like we're right on the cusp now of understanding how this puzzle works. And I just have to figure out how to take this forward. And the way I'm going to figure that out is as follows. I am going to say that I don't know what to do. Come on, brain. How do I not know this total now? How? I am so inept. Must be a way of learning what this is adding up to somehow. Right, here is something rather beautiful. I can tell you something, that cell is not now purple. Because if this was purple, because of polarity on the whisper, what would this digit be? It has to be a high digit, so it's at least a 6. But that's telling us there are 6 cells in this box that are green, and they would have to be all of those. No, these. And now I've got a big problem with blue because I've just made a baby snake. And the baby snake is not connected to its mother, and that's bad. So that's not right. This is not... Well, this has to be... I'm not saying it's not blue. It might be blue, but it's definitely not purple. So purple continues into this cell, where it must therefore be a high digit. This can't be 4 anymore, because it would be flanked by double 9. So this is down to 1 or 2 now, which is almost getting interesting. Oh, yeah, this is good. Right, now can the purple turn? If the purple turns now, we don't have a problem with greenage in this box, but we do have a problem with getting purple ever into box 9. If it turns, remember we need a U pentomino, well we can't get one anymore. So that's not going to work. So purple comes in here, and therefore this is a low digit. So this is 1, 2 or 4. This can't be 6 because it would be flanked by double 1. So now either this continues on and turns, or it turns. It could turn immediately. So I don't actually think I've reduced the possibilities for this cell at all, which is really weird. Oh, but this one I've done now. That's 3 greens. Okay, so that's 3. So that's not 3. So this is 4 or 5. Okay, look, lots of things going on all of a sudden. So this is 4 or 5. That's the count of green squares in this box. Well, we need another green, is what that's telling us. Well, it can't just be that cell, because if it is, purple's got to come into this cell and where it will be a head or a tail. So that's wrong. So this is definitely green now. And do we know? I don't know. I'm not so sure I know whether this turns or not. There probably is a way to know that, but I'm not sure I know what it is. Okay, so we're going to have to look at something else. There's quite a lot. Oh, there's quite a lot of green cells now. Oh, please let this be the next step. This would be so beautiful. What I'm thinking is, this square sees 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the minimum value of that cell is 5. That means there's 5 green cells at least in this remaining 7-cell string. And what we cannot do, this cannot be 7 because the B is isolated. So it's 6. But if it's 6, how does the B get out of the box? To get the B out of the box, it needs at least 2 more cells, doesn't it? So this is 5, is what we're learning. This is 5, and the only way B can get out of the box in 2 cells, I think, is to actually come through the 5 now. Because if it comes up and turns, this is going to be the wrong count. So I think the B has to hot tail it out to the right, which means this becomes, which forces this round the corner, which forces this to turn. All of this now has to be green. I want to... No, we don't know whether this is turning or not, because this could be a blue cell. Although it would be touching its friend, the purple, it would only be doing it diagonally. And that's okay, because it's not the same colour. Right, this cell's now 1, 2, or 3 by polarity. This is 6, 7, 8, or 9. This cell can't be 4 because it would flank by double 9. So now, oh come on! I've now got a 1, 2 pair in this row, which makes this cell a 4. I want to say that's useful, but it might not be. Okay, so now what about? So now we've got this problem again. What do these two add up to? They either add up to 9 or 10. If they add up to 9, they've got to be 1, 8. which would have to be in a very specific order actually because of the 8 in the column. There would have to be 8 here, whoops, 8 here and 1 here. So that would be saying this is there. It doesn't work. This is beautiful. Right, we've done it. I now know the blue n total because if we're saying these two digits add up to 9, because they can't be 2, 7, 3, 6 or 4, 5, they have to be 1, 8. And because of the 6, 8, 9 here, they have to be in a very specific order. But we're now saying that n is 13, which requires this to be 1, 5, 7. And we get 2 1s in this column. So that's wrong. So now, at long last, we know that the blue total for each box it visits is 14, which means these cells have not got a 1 in. Which means that these are 2, 5, 7, which means we must know that that digit is a 1. And now we know that digit is a 9 by the power of maths. So this is not 9, this is 8 of all things. This is a 6 of all things. That's on the whisper, so that's got to be flanked by double 1. This square's a 9 by Sudoku. This is not a 1. So here we need 2s, 4s and 7s, and we can probably work out, we must need 7 here obviously, because we need, yes, we need 7 and 4 here in order to make these 3 cells add up to 14. So this is 7, 4, this is 2. That's 1, therefore this is not affecting these values unfortunately. 1 is placed by Sudoku in box 8 because it can't be here, so that's a 1. So 1 is in one of 2 places in box 9. Ah, God, goodness me, this is just wonderful though, isn't it? That's a 2 by Sudoku, I think. This is a 6 or an 8. This is 1, 6 or 8, I think. I've now got, oh, okay, so where does 5 go in this row? That's an interesting question, which we probably could have answered a while ago, once I got this 5 and realised that you can't put 5 on a whisper, which is mostly occupying row 7 now, so 5 goes into this cell, which makes this cell a 1. The 4 at this start of this column tells us the whole row is full of snake. Well, this can't be blue, so this must be purple, which means the cell above it is purple. This, oh, I was about to say, well, that can't be purple, obviously, so this is purple, but I don't know whether this can be blue. Although, what about that cell now? Which is counting the green cells, of which I have none at the moment in this box. So this is a 1, 2 or a 3, and it's not a 1 or a 3, so it's a 2. So blue can't turn here. If blue turns and goes like that, there's only 1 green cell in the box. So blue goes through that 2, and these 2 must both be green. Therefore purple continues, blue continues. These 2 cells have got to sum up to 12. And there's probably a multitude of ways of that working, but that cell's now not a 2, and that's on the whisper. But it could be either of the other things. So this is 3 or 4 only. It can't be 4 because it's in the middle of the whisper line. Oh, Peter, this is so pretty. So now we've got an 8, 9 pair here. 8 here tells us the order. 8 and 9 go in the grid. 9 can be next to anything. I often get that logic the wrong way round, but that seems correct. Now I've got 1, 2, 3 here because I'm not 3 because of Sudoku. 1 or 2 here. And I can't just flick out. This cell is now green because if blue comes out here, I can never put 14 of blue in box 3. So this cell clearly can't be purple. It would cut off this blue. So that's green, which means this is green. So the count of greens in this box, now the blue just simply has to do that, doesn't it? It's the only way it can connect. The count of blue here is, or the count of green in this box is 3. This is where it gets horrible, where I suddenly start thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to get a clash. These 2 squares add up to 8, and therefore that's a 6 by blueness. This is not a 5. This is a 1.
That's not breaking my whisper line. This is a 2 or a 7. Oh, by Sudoku, but it can't be 2, so that's got to be 7, that's got to be 2. These squares have, well, I need a 5 to make this add up, I think, because I need these to add up to 14. So that makes this square a 4, which is good because that's counting the correct number of green cells in this box. So 4 is in one of these two cells. And I have a feeling we might have cracked the back of this now, because once we've got this amount of information, yeah, how's this working? These two squares have got to add up to 14, and they're not 5, 9, so this is 6, 8. And we still need to put 3 and 9 into this column, which unfortunately seems to be ambiguous. Oh, lovely. This is lovely. Look at this. This purple, how's it connecting? It's got to come through this gap, which tells us, which fixes the polarity of this cell. It must be a 3. Can't be next to a 7, therefore, on the whisper logic. This is now a 9 at the bottom. That's not a 9. Don't know if I can do that. This has got to be a high digit. It's not a 6 or an 8, so it's a 7 or a 9. It can't be 7 because it's next to 3 on the whisper. So that's 9, that's 8, that's 7, that's 6, that's 8, that's 6, that's 9. This is now a 1-8 pair. And we can, as a result of that, this is going to resolve everything. I just can't immediately see how it works, so I'm avoiding looking at it. Let's just try and come up with something easier. The next digit on here. Oh, in fact, the easiest digit is that digit, which now seems to have to be a 4. Okay, so if this was on the whisper, the dex digit on the whisper would be a 9, and we'd have 2 9s in box 3, so that's not on the whisper, so that's green. This is whispered, and this square has to now be low, and not 4, and not 1. So that's 2 or 3. It's not 3 by Sudoku, so that's 2, that's 1. And now I still don't quite know how this is finishing, look. I actually don't. I've got 2 green cells to put in. I know that's one of them. I need to know something about 7 in this box, I think, in order to figure out where the last high digit goes. I'm sure there's a way of doing that. I just can't see what it is. This is 4, 6, which we can do. Now that means this is not 6 anymore. From a Sudoku perspective, I need, oh, I see, this is 5 and this is 7. That's the simple way of doing it, is to look at Sudoku, but of course I never do. 7 is done over here, so that's 7, that's 4. What do we know about this? Oh, this is the equal sum lines again. So this is adding up to 11. So it can't be 3, 8. It could be 5, 6, and that's all it can be. So this is 5, 6, and that's fixed, which fixes the 6 and the 8 and the 8 and the 1. Now those squares have got to be 2 and 9 and something. 2, 4 and 9. Doesn't seem to be resolved, and they're green cells, so I don't know that we're going to learn too much more about these. This 5 is fixing the 5 and the 7. These two squares now are 9 and 7, which is apparently not resolved. Whoops. And these squares are 2, 8 and 4, which also doesn't seem to be exactly resolved, but I can see this one isn't 2. So something must be going on in this column, I suspect. Anyway, let's come over here though. These squares have got to be 2 and something. 2 and 6. Yeah, okay, so that's 2. That's 6. This is 8 in order to make these 3 squares add up to the right number. That's a 7. These squares have got to be 5 and 6 to add up to the right number. That's doable. 6 and 5 go into the grid. That's got to be a 3 by Sudoku. These squares are 4 and 7, which is resolved by the 7 at the top. So now let's see, have we actually finished this? This column must be done much more than Ah, yeah, okay, I can get rid of 4 from this square. So I've got a 2, 8, 9 triple in this column. I've got this column should be more done than I've done as well. 7, yeah, the 7's doing the 9. So that fixes this digit as a 4, this digit as an 8, which fixes this digit as a 2, this digit as a 9, this digit as a 2, this digit as a 4, this is an 8, and that's a 9. And let's just take a quick stare at this before I click tick. That was quite tricky, but absolutely wonderful. What I love about this is the different ways we had to use all the rules together. There was some Sudoku, there was some equal sum lines, there was some whispers, and it all came in at different points. Now this line, this snake is certainly not touching itself, and it seems to visit all the boxes. I think this line is I'm just scanning the whispers to see if I can see any deliberate errors. Obviously, if there is an error, it would be deliberate. No, I can't see any errors there. Has this visited everybody? Oh, it's only visited box 5 just and box 1 just. I think it does visit and box 7 just. So I want to say that's correct. Absolutely awesome. Peter, I loved it. I hope you guys had a go. Let me know in the comments how you got on. Let me know how Drunk Simon got on. Please be kind. I do enjoy the comments, but mainly when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.